Welcome back to Over 50 and Flourishing. Today we are diving into the world of comedy, storytelling, and the beautiful chaos of life. My guest is Skrmetti, a woman who proves it is never too late to follow your dreams. Ellen got her start in comedy after training at the iconic Second City, home to some of the greatest comedians of all time. Just as she was breaking into the comedy club circuit, well, the world hit pause with the 2020 COVID shutdown. But Ellen, she did not let that stop her. As she says, dreams do not have deadlines. So fast forward to 2022, her hilarious and relatable Instagram posts have gone viral, racking up millions of views and landing her on the radar of major tour companies. Today, Ellen joins us to talk about her new book, Hey Jesus, It's Me, where she unpacks themes like advanced maternal age, aging with grace, and growing up as a Southern woman. Get ready for a heartfelt, funny, and honest conversation that will leave you inspired to embrace every chapter of your story.
Tis the season for gift giving. The holiday season is here, and I personally love one-stop shopping, where you can find everything quality and wonderful in one place. That one place would be Jenni Kayne. They make it effortless to check everybody off your list, yourself included, by the way. Right now, I'm wearing one of my favorite Jenni Kayne sweaters. They last me from season to season. The cashmere knits, their essential outerwear, even homeware pieces like their obsession-worthy candles. There is no better place to get into the seasonal spirit than Jenni Kayne. Gift yourself and your loved ones to the best gift of all, Jenni Kayne. And our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code Dominique15 at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at JENNIKAYNE.com, promo code Dominique15. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. Sure is easy to get dehydrated during the holidays. Look, we're all running around. We've got errands, we're shopping, there's the holiday party, there's traveling. It's easy to get dehydrated, so keep Liquid IV on hand, and that way you can stay hydrated through the holidays. They're convenient packs of their hydration multiplier or sugar-free hydration multiplier gets you 8 vitamins and nutrients, 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, and no artificial sweeteners. Stay hydrated through the holidays with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code OVER50 at checkout. That is 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code OVER50 at liquidiv.com. Today's podcast sponsored in part by Honey Love. Let's talk bras and shapewear, shall we? In fact, I am wearing my favorite Honey Love bra at the moment. It's the best-selling crossover bra. Beautiful. Mine is in black. I love it. Bras and shapewear have really come a long way, and Honey Love has made that possible. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market. Shop Honey Love's holiday sale and save an additional 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/over50. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off. honeylove.com/over50 to find your perfect fit. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Time to ditch the underwire for good, thanks to Honey Love.
Hey, Ellen, it is so good to have you here on Over 50 and Flourishing. Girl, if there is anybody flourishing, it is you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, you're on fire. You know, I love to ask women, how would you say that you're flourishing this week? How would you answer that?
I went to the dentist. And I think, I had my children later in life. I have a 14 and a 10-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I have had a dentist appointment, and then I have a general practitioner appointment. And I sent a joke to my friend, and I said, I didn't know that making time for myself would mean a periodontal cleaning and a colonoscopy.
Winning.
But I do feel like I am winning because I have just made the decision, just because I told the dentist, I said, listen, you got to give me a break here. I've got 2 kids. They go every 6 months. We're cavity free. I've got a daughter in ortho. We've got another one that does derm. We've got another one that does the ADHD. They're up to date on everything. But
if it weren't for the American family, doctors would be out of business.
Yes. Yes. And I said, but I am here. So I feel like, and for everyone out there, I feel like I am flourishing this week because I am taking time to get caught up on all of my medical appointments to make sure I can continue to flourish.
That's good.
Yes.
I'm glad to see self-care in play in a very unique way, and probably
Yes.
one that I have not explored on my podcast or my channel. I've never taken anybody to the dentist before.
Right. But we have, ladies, we have to. Like it just will be I've read that it could just be a mess later in life.
Yep.
So you just because you took your kids, that does not mean you did.
Exactly. And now that you're bringing up the dentist, can I just state for the record, I get people all the time who yell at me and say, you have veneers. Why don't you tell people that? I don't have veneers. So I'm just right now for the record, these right here. Those are my chompers. I've had them. I have braces. Thank you to orthodontics when I was 13 and a half with the headgear, the rubber bands, and the retainer. So I was all in.
Yes.
So I thank my dental family for that, and I do not have veneers.
Well, and if you watch any of my reels, I will claim surgery I didn't have.
Like which ones?
Well, like I just did one. I did the Southern Mom and a Gender reveal, and I said, I'm your grandmother, and let's hope that your baby, that you get your mama's nose, because I had mine fixed and I had your daddy's fixed. And so if you get your mama's nose, and then down the road when you have a baby, don't be surprised if a nose comes out looking,
because it can skip a generation.
Because it could skip a generation, and you just didn't know. So just be prepared. But like, this is my nose, but I will talk about having a nose job in my reels, even though I have not.
You've not.
Not.
Let's talk about your reels, Missy, because that's how so many people know you. I adore you. So it's just Skrmetti if you follow her on Instagram. And I mean, you are on fire. So I want to play. Which one should I play? You've got so many good ones. Hold on.
I've got tagged the one about the desert.
Love that neighbor, right? And I do. I love my neighbor. So I invited Edna Ruth and her family over to celebrate Thanksgiving with us. And she said, what can I bring? And I said, oh, Lord, honey, nothing. And then she said, no, really, what can I bring? And I said, darling, your presence is the present. And she said, honey, if you don't tell me what to bring, I'm going to bring my dressing. And I said, oh, Lord, anything but that. And I didn't mean to say that. I meant to just say cups and ice. And anyway, she's mad. And I don't know. I got to apologize. Does that mean I got to eat her dressing?
You know what? There is something about a Southern girl in dressing. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You talk about that.
Yes. I mean, my mother right now has a bulk order of, she's older. So instead of her cutting up all the vegetables, she has figured out that Restaurant Supply will send her the cut celery and everything that you need for it. Right. But that woman, she makes the dressing for the church, Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving, and then she takes plates to all of the shut-ins and people that can't get out. She takes them dressing plates. And so my mother, and I can remember my mother when she made the dressing for the first time in her kitchen. I'm just visualizing it, her letting her mother taste it. And her mother said, tastes just like mine. And that was the seal of approval.
Yep.
And so from that day forward, my mother took the torch and she was the dressing lady. So,
well, that's a good label to have, I think.
Yes.
And when you hear stories like this, you can totally tell the rich Southern roots that lie within you. And that is I would say the soil to your comedy. I mean, that's what you lean on, and you are so funny, so funny. So what came first? Did the social media feed start and then the book? And we're going to talk about your book in just a sec, but how did you get rolling with all of this?
Truthfully, I wanted to do comedy the old-fashioned way. I wanted to be a stand-up. I was taking stand-up comedy classes at a local club. I finally got on stage for the first time, and it was the Thursday before the world shut down for COVID. And so, you're thinking like, oh, it's just going to be a couple of weeks. Well, we all know what that turned into. But what happened Second City in Chicago, they had to keep their doors open. So they started offering online stand-up writing classes. And so I started taking those, and it was before a class, one of my teachers happened to say, you guys are going to be so glad you did this, because when you get on stage, you're going to be ready. We have Instagram stars with big followings. They're getting booked into clubs, but they're not quite sure what to do because all they've done are reels and they don't know the difference in the joke structure. And a light bulb went off. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. I know stand up. I can rewrite my bits and turn these into reels. Mm-hmm. And so January of 22, I posted my very first reel. It is so deep down the Instagram feed. And I actually waited, and I only put it on Instagram and not Facebook because my mother only checks Instagram about once a week. And I thought, you've got 1 week to live. Yeah,
exactly.
Enjoy this last week on earth before your mother kills you. But she was so great about it. She said, do whatever you want. Use me in your jokes. As long as it's funny, I do not care. So the reels absolutely came first. And then the book came after, because the Hey Jesus reels were just the most popular.
Sure. And walk everybody through what that is, because you're on the phone and you're having these conversations with Jesus. And what I love about it is, people always, or not always, but a lot of people have this kind of stereotypical way of how to talk to Jesus. Well, you completely bust that stereotype.
Absolutely. And it goes back to, I was asking my husband about a friend of ours who was going through a hard time. And I said, oh, how are they doing? And he said, oh, he's like you. He prays about everything. And it was like a record scratch. I said, wait a minute. You don't pray about everything? He said, I pray about all the big stuff. And I was like, no, sir, that is not how this works. I am praying for you that you're getting God's guidance on everything, not just on the big stuff. Like, the Lord wants everything. Mm-hmm. And as my husband started to just pray daily about everything, even when there wasn't something big going on, I could see the change it made in our life. Well, when I started doing the reels, off the cuff, I did a Hey Jesus, It's Me. And I thought, when it was over, I thought this could be a great way to show people you talk to him about everything. Nothing is off limits. And because that's truly, he wants a friendship with us, not just a come to me in the hard times. I do believe that the Lord wants every ounce of our day.
Yeah. And the Lord is speaking through your dog at the moment.
That is my West Highland terrorist.
Oh, Terry. I had one of those once, and I won't argue with you. They're wild.
But then he's so cute. Tonight, he has to snuggle at 9:00. Every night at 9, he hops up in my husband's lap and has to be cradled like a baby. But I'm so sorry.
No, do not. I think it's so funny that's a Southern girl. You got a dog barking in the background.
That's baby.
Oscar to chime in at any moment.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you started these sort of natural conversations, and we're going to talk about this after we take our quick commercial break, I want you to share with us just some of your shtick that you've got going on social media, and then we'll dive into the book. But your conversations are priceless, funny, relatable. Girl, you hit on all the middle-aged stuff that we women can relate to. So we'll talk about that after a quick break. Thank our sponsors who provide this free content for you. We'll be right back.
'Tis the season for gift giving. The holiday season is here, and I personally love one-stop shopping, where you can find everything quality and wonderful in one place. That one place would be Jenni Kayne. They make it effortless to check everybody off your list, yourself included, by the way. Right now, I'm wearing one of my favorite Jenni Kayne sweaters. They last me from season to season. The cashmere knits, their essential outerwear, even homeware pieces like their obsession-worthy candles. There is no better place to get into the seasonal spirit than Jenni Kayne. If you have holiday travel on the mind, you can level up your on-the-go style with Jenni Kayne's ultra-versatile knits, like the cashmere half-zip. It's the perfect piece to take anywhere. Like I said, my Jenni Kayne sweaters are my absolute favorites. I also love shopping their holiday curated gift guide as well. Gift yourself and your loved ones to the best gift of all, Jenni Kayne, and our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code Dominique15 at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at JenniKayne.com. Promo code Dominique15. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. Sure is easy to get dehydrated during the holidays. Look, we're all running around. We've got errands. We're shopping. There's the holiday party. There's traveling. It's easy to get dehydrated. So keep Liquid IV on hand, and that way you can stay hydrated through the holidays. They're convenient packs of their hydration multiplier or sugar-free hydration multiplier. Gets you 8 vitamins and nutrients, 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, and no artificial sweeteners. I personally love to bring mine along after a workout, a long flight, hot yoga, you name it. That way I stay hydrated on the go. All you do is tear, pour, and live more. 1 stick and 16 ounces of water, and you are hydrated like you've never been hydrated before. Stay hydrated through the holidays with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code OVER50 at checkout. That is 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code OVER50 at liquidiv.com.
Welcome back. Our guest is Skrmetti. She is a comedian with a wildly popular Instagram social media following. She also has a book out, Hey Jesus, It's Me. I have questions, comments, and concerns. And she also has her West Highland White, what'd you call him?
I call him a West Highland terrorist.
It looks vicious.
This is Baby Cliff.
Baby Cliff.
Yes. Baby
Yes.
Cliff. We did not know he was a rescue
Oh,
when we got him, but when we got there, we realized that he had not run around in 5 months. He had been in a cage.
oh, poor baby.
And so he has finally realized he's part of a family and he loves us and he protects us
Yep.
like no other. So
Well, yeah, I could see
that
he
was a screaming
take out
ear.
anybody at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So hold on. I'm going to go put Cliff away now.
Okay. Well, we love Cliff. He's
I
more
just
than
wanted
welcome. He seems quite comfortable, Ellen. You don't have to move him. Well, I'm glad that he got to make an appearance because this podcast also airs on YouTube. So for those watching on YouTube, they got a little glimpse of your little Cliff man. And
Yes.
he's adorable. So, okay, you are talking to women, and I would assume a majority of your audience is women, like the majority of my audience is women. And you are talking to Jesus, and you are letting it out there. So tell us some of the things that you talk about and some of the questions that you pose and the humor in all of it.
Well, you've got to ask Jesus, in your perfect timing, it appears that I am going to start perimenopause at the exact same time that my daughter is going to start her lady time. And, and I'll just
Winning duo.
Yeah, I remind him, hey, I know you said you'll never leave me or forsake me, but my husband will. And, and in the end, I was like, okay, we're just going to put this at your feet. And we ask Jesus, hey, the Bible says better a man live in the desert than with a nagging wife. Do we just take our husbands to any desert?
The widest?
Yes. And so the great part is I like to say, come for the comedy and stay for the comment section, because
Yes.
the comment section was hysterical. And we had men chiming in saying, hey guys, we're all going to be in the Sahara Desert, or I'm in Arizona, come to our desert. Nevada,
that's cute.
Las Vegas is a desert. So we had men doing meetups, and they were in on the joke, and they were having a good time with it, which is so fun.
Yes. Well, and obviously this is stuff that you use in your stand-up routine, which is fantastic content for social media because you get to kind of break it down into these bite-sized nuggets. And then I'm sure you find some inspiration from the comment section as well. I mean, have you been tipped off to some great ideas?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people will tell me, oh, you think that's funny. Like, let me tell you about this crazy thing that happened, and it might make its way in. When I do my Southern mom sketches, which is, I might be talking to my son like he is the crown prince, but my daughter, I'm saying, is that what you're going to wear? Don't you want to put on some lipstick? Because that's what I remember in my house. I loved that I had one comment was the Nigerian moms have entered the chat. The Jewish moms have entered the chat. And so I had all of these moms from all these different cultures going, oh, Hispanic mom, we do this too. So I love that We just united all the moms from all the different cultures and religions together that we're all
Right.
crazy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What common threads did you find in that happening?
We all
That we
want to,
love to torment our children?
well,
Is that the
you know,
bottom line?
the common thread is we all love to laugh and we all love memories.
Yeah.
We love my people will say things like, I can't believe you would talk to your daughter like that. And I want to say, okay, well, this is how I was talked to. This is not about my daughter. I am doing a caricature of the 80s growing up, but I do think that people love the nostalgia and we love to have that memory. You know, just when I posted, if you're on YouTube, you can see, or you can go to my Instagram and see, I posted a picture of this wreath and so many people wrote, oh, my favorite Christmas decoration is a tree skirt that my grandmother stitched. And people were just, every time I see it, I'm reminded of what Christmas was like in the 70s or what it was like in the 60s. And so I think people love just a little break from 2024 from my
Yeah.
page.
You're right. You're so right. And tradition it fills the heart, but it can also be really funny.
Yes.
You must derive a lot of humor from some of your Southern tradition.
Oh, and just remembering how sometimes my mother would get so in tune with making everything perfect for us for Christmas. And now what I remember, I put it in the book. I mean, she threw a Christmas tree out the back door.
Why? What happened?
Well, it kept falling down. It had too many ornaments because we believe in a full Christmas tree, and it was a real tree.
Right.
And it had fallen down twice. And the third time we all heard it fall, and I can still feel the air as the door opened to the back door. And when I called her and I did say, Mama, when you threw that tree out the door, was that menopause? And she said, no, honey, that's just because I'm colorful. And then she said, and I put it in the book, she said, it took 3 men to get that tree in the house and me to get it out.
To get it out. Exactly.
Yes. Yes. But then also I remember leaving for school. She was still in her pajamas and nightgown or her duster. And she said, oh, we've just got one lights out. I'm going to get it fixed. And this tree is going to be decorated by the time you get home. I got home from school. That woman was in the same spot, sweating, and she had her hair pulled back with those like little headbands that the women use to pull their hair back before we had the cutesy ones. And she was like, I can't find it. She couldn't find the missing light because in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, the missing light.
Which
you are chasing that thing or else your tree is just hosed.
Yes. And so it wasn't the light would keep going even if you didn't. If one light was out, the whole thing was out. And so you were trying to replace your light, and lights were expensive. They weren't $12 a strand like they are now.
Oh, I know.
So it was a big deal. Like you had to find the light that was missing. And she spent the entire day trying to find the missing light.
Any luck?
I don't think so. I think my dad came home and talked sense into her and said, we've got Christmas light money. Like, let's just,
it's in the budget.
Like, let's just go get lights. But also I was from a really small town. So it wasn't like there was a Walmart supercenter in my town. Our Walmart in my town, when they built a big one, I think we were excited because it had a snack bar.
Oh, that's big time. That's when like Starbucks showed up in Target. You got the right one. Yes.
Yes. And so, but it's still just like it's not a super center. Dominique, when McDonald's opened up in my town, they opened school late.
No.
It was such a big deal. It was such a big deal that the school was open late, and what they had ordered to get them through the week, they ran out of food the first day, and they had to have a refillment shipment come in overnight.
Okay, tell everybody your town.
Ripley, Mississippi. It is the northernmost part of Mississippi. William Faulkner's great-grandfather is buried behind the Pizza Hut.
I was going to say.
Not in the Pizza Hut. William Faulkner's great-granddaddy is buried behind the Pizza Hut. And so we're only about 40 or 50 minutes from Oxford, which is where William Faulkner called his home. But so we have, the town of Faulkner is in our county, named after his great grandfather. And so it was just tiny. And so I grew up in this tiny town, and I still joke that we only had two pastimes, sinning and crafting. So,
and never shall the two overlap.
Right. Never shall they overlap. And so we just spent our time, riding around and learning all this, knowing the history of our town and just thinking it was completely normal that he was buried behind the Pizza Hut. But somehow that just always stuck with me that, we're all going to get buried somewhere. I just wanted to leave behind a fun story.
And have maybe a good fragrant smell.
Yes. Yes.
That's so good. So you're pulling from all kinds of small town Southern roots, which, those stories for anybody who's listening. And I mean, this is a global audience, Ellen. There is something very, very special about small town anywhere, whether it's small town New York or small town deep South. There are certain mannerisms, colloquialisms, ways of doing things, ways of speaking that are so rich in culture that the rest of the world just might not understand.
Right. And even though I live in Alabama and people can tell my accent, if I have been on the phone with my mother and I walk in the house, my husband will go, "You just got off the phone with your mother, didn't you?"
You can tell.
Because the jaw just drops. And all of a sudden I go into, "Well, honey, what do you want for dinner? I don't even care. I'm about to take to the bed." And he's like, "Did you just call your mother?" Yes. Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Yeah, you let it just fully rip on your social media platforms. And it's joyful. It's funny.
I absolutely do. And the thing is that I made a decision that I was going to trust that there was an accent there, whether or not I heard it. Because I think that sometimes Southerners, we don't hear our accent. And so we try to create one of what we think it is without realizing we have one.
You already have one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just kind of loosen the jaw and just get back into what I call my Ripley mode and let it go. And I actually had someone purchase a Cameo because they wanted to know where my accent was from.
That's funny.
I thought that was great.
That is pretty great. And you just made money by telling them.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way.
And they all lost the bet. I don't know what they had picked, but I don't think they had North Mississippi on their bingo card.
Well, shame on them. Anybody who listens now knows, right?
Yes. Yes.
So talk to us about this fabulous book. And you know what, I want to read all of it, but I just can't. But I'm going to read kind of the headers to your sections, and then I'm going to let you kind of dive in and tell us about each one. But it says, Part 1, Caught Between a Rock and a Hot Flash. What are we getting in Part 1?
Well, it is all of your menopause humor and the aging humor. And one that I love, essay number 4, Where My Hose At?
Do we wear hose anymore?
Exactly.
I don't think we do.
Go through the evolution of how horrible they used to be and how we are gradually, because I've noticed my daughter getting ready for Easter Sunday as she's getting in the car. That girl is wearing a beautiful Lily Pulitzer dress, but she does not have on a slip. She does not have on pantyhose, and she is wearing the cutest pair of stark white Nike Air Force Ones.
Yep, that's how they do it.
And she is so comfortable, but she looks so cute. And I just remember thinking, instead of thinking, no, you have to suffer like the rest of us did, I remember thinking, is this the end? Are we finally ending the struggle? In the 90s, if you worked at a bank, you had to wear pantyhose, even if you were wearing a pantsuit. And you had to have hose showing at your feet or the men would write you up.
Well, couldn't you just do the knee high, the ankle?
And then you would do the knee high, but they wanted to see that you were wearing a pantyhose. Yeah. And so I just love that women are now, we no longer are having to dress like men. We no longer have to wear a suit and look like a man. We can now look feminine in the workplace but professional. And so it just takes that dichotomy of like how it used to be. I mean, there was a time when, pantyhose, they didn't even have the top. Like little girls were having to wear garter belts.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It didn't have that tight elastic waistband.
Yeah, so they were just happy to get a waistband. Then we were happy to get control top.
That's right. Suck it in.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were
Exactly.
having to wear like this one piece sucker inner
Yeah. See,
because
for us, the graduation was Spanx
yes,
because then we cut off the hose, but we kept the control.
yes. And that is what I would say that like I wanted the control but not the hose. And then the
Yep.
Spanx came in and now the girls aren't even worried about Spanx anymore, I don't think.
No. And now they just barely wear anything.
Yes. So it's a celebration of the evolution of how we've gradually said goodbye to horrible, uncomfortable pantyhose.
Well,
So
I love that for
yes.
chapter one,
Yeah.
or I should say at least part one. What about just your menopause experience, and then also you do my height, my weight, my business.
Yes, absolutely. And that's based on the sketch that I said if I go missing, if I'm ever so missing that you feel like you need to announce my height and weight,
Like a
it's too
driver's
late. I've already crossed to the other side. Even if
Well,
I were
we just
about
touch on that anyway. I
even
mean,
even if I had found my way home and then I see the poster and it had my height and my weight, I would go back into the woods.
it was like that's not her. I'm
That's not
sorry.
that was a missighting. That was not me. But I go through my journey of loving myself and how my husband has helped me love myself through weight ups, weight downs, weight everything's, and you can lose all the weight you want, but if you don't love yourself, it absolutely does not matter.
Hmm. Amen. Preach on that.
Yes. And I can remember I used to see girlfriends and they would post struggles they were going through, and my brain would think, but you're skinny,
Mm.
but you're thin. So
You have troubles.
how could you have a trouble when because you have this one thing that I carry so heavily, but I have just learned to be happy and just love myself and just know that I will not, I will not ever be your beautiful size, but I am my beautiful size and I need to love myself.
That's right. Amen. And how has your journey with Jesus helped you in just your overall well-being, but just also sense and perspective on life?
Oh, wow. It's the most important journey I've ever had. And there was a time that I do a sketch, Jesus Take the Wheel. And I feel like that is a live look at my journey with Jesus. Because in the thing I'm saying, well, Jesus, don't you want to turn here? And don't you want to do this?
Mhm.
Okay, well, fine. I thought this was going to be more collaborative. But when I started posting on Instagram, I remember thinking and saying to myself, okay, Lord, I'm going to give this all to you. And I would pray and say, Lord, do something so big, this can only be you. And I didn't want to do limiting prayers. You know, we can say, I realized that the Lord had given me everything I'd ever asked for. Like, get us through this hurdle, we would get over the hurdle.
Right.
Get us through this, he would get us through this. So if I prayed for 10,000 followers, the 10,000 was going to come. But I prayed, Lord, let this be your journey. And the twists and the turns that it has taken, I didn't have a book, but it has been the most rewarding experience to write this book. And the friendships that I've made through writing it and just the experience are things that only happen because you're on the journey with the Lord.
That's right. And isn't it the most freeing experience? And I find that we women, especially those of us who are very career driven,
Mm-hmm.
tend to want to hold on to that wheel. And you're right. Think it's some kind of collaborative effort that we're co-steering, or maybe think of it more like a cockpit
Yes.
situation, a cockpit and a co-pilot.
Yeah.
And you somehow you got a role in there. And it's not until you let go and trust that I think he shows out in the most magnificent, surprising, mind-blowing kind of ways. When you do that and also kind of free up your prayer life and stop putting the limits on what he wants to do for you.
Absolutely. And I know that there are women listening right now who are maybe thinking, okay, but I'm this age, it's truly too late. I cannot stress enough the God math that happens when you give your life to him and you give your career to him, the doors that he will open.
Yep.
He He will make whole the 10 years of struggle that you had, or however many years of struggle that you had. Once you give it to him, he can just shoot things into overdrive, unlike anything that you can truly imagine. I mean, he will truly show up and do things that only can be explained that the Lord did it. Absolutely.
I'm a very strong woman of faith, as are you. It's in your comedy, clearly, daily. What do you say to this culture that seems to be very anti God, anti Jesus? Or, I mean, I don't know if you've heard this, but I've had people say to me, I'm so glad you don't shy away from your faith. And it makes me so sad to hear that. And I want to really, really expound on that after we take this quick break to get your answer. You're listening to Over 50 and Flourishing.
Today's podcast sponsored in part by Honey Love. Let's talk bras and shapewear, shall we? In fact, I am wearing my favorite Honey Love bra at the moment. It's the best-selling crossover bra. Beautiful. Mine is in black. I love it. You know what? Here's the deal. It's sexy. It does everything that it needs to do, which is lift and shape without the binding, without the underwire, without the pinch. It's comfortable. And my goodness, bras and shapewear have really come a long way, and Honey Love has made that possible. Whether you're looking for the perfect bra to kind of lift, support you and not pinch and hurt you, or if you're looking for shapewear to go underneath that perfect holiday dress, look no further than Honey Love. They're super power short, amazing, sucks you in all the right places. Again, shapewear should be comfortable. Period. End of story. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market. Shop Honey Love's holiday sale and save an additional 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/over50. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off. honeylove.com/over50 to find your perfect fit. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Time to ditch the underwire for good. Thanks to Honey Love.
Welcome back. My guest today is Skrmetti. She is funny. She is a comedy queen with a Southern drawl and all kinds of really witty, interesting perspectives on just that kind of culture and tradition, as well as a good infusion of Jesus and midlife. And it's a perfect mix for having her on Over 50 and Flourishing today. And before the commercial break, we were talking about something a little deep. And, I get asked this a lot. We were talking about faith in social media, online in general, and just sort of this interesting, why are you talking about God and Jesus so much? Or you never used to do that. Now that's all you do. Or thank you. Thank you for having the courage to do it. And, those kind of statements make me really sad that people feel that people of faith need to hide back in corners and not talk about it. But it's not necessarily popular. And sometimes we're called to do unpopular things. And so I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, no. So the first part is, once you've been broken, which I have been, once you've been broken and once you have totally given your life to the Lord, and once you've watched the Lord work, how could you not give him glory for what he's doing?
Exactly.
I can't. Anytime I've tried to go on stage and thought, okay, you're just going to be a regular comedian and you're not going to talk about Jesus, it doesn't matter. It's coming out, because if I'm doing comedy about my life, Jesus is going to come out, because that's my life and that's my truth. And in my writing, if it's my truth that I pray, and that's how I get my answers to things. And I do believe that Jesus is in the everyday. And it's difficult. It's impossible for me to do comedy that doesn't invoke Jesus and my faith, because it's part of my everyday. I do have people who tell me, thank you so much for being brave to talk about Jesus. I hate that's now seen as brave.
I know.
To talk about Jesus. But I am happy to be someone who loves the Lord. And if someone can see me having a good time and loving my life, and I love Jesus, and it makes them say, let me learn more about this, then I'm here for it. I absolutely love it. And I think that Christians should just continue to show and say and speak out that, yeah, I'm here because of the Lord. I think that there was a time where it became cliche. Everyone got on stage and said, I want to thank the Lord. And I think it got cliched as media, everything can become cliched.
Right.
But it is so true. And there's no way I would not be here talking to you. I wouldn't have a book. I wouldn't have anything if it weren't for the Lord. I also believe that strongly the devil told me that I wasn't good enough to talk about the Lord. And the devil had me believing, who are you to talk about Jesus? Who are you when you are so full of sin and you're so imperfect? And so every time I would think about saying, oh, I'm here because of Jesus, the devil would remind me of maybe like that one time I said the wrong thing. Or he would remind me of all the reasons why I was too little to do that. And so for anyone out there who is wanting to talk about the Lord, but then there's something in the back of your head that reminds you and says, who are you to think you could do that? That is the devil. That is not of the Lord. The Lord wants to use every single one of us for his good. And yes, we have preachers and we have ministers and we have Bible study teachers who have been ordained to do that. I do not believe that I've been ordained to minister. I believe that I've been ordained to make y'all laugh. But if you're scared about sharing the Lord in your work day and in your girls group, I would just encourage you to just be bold and do that, because whatever's telling you not to, that's not the Lord. The Lord will never tell you, don't tell people about me. That's the devil trying to keep you down.
Sure. And it's fear-based. And, the power, you mentioned this earlier, Ellen, the power is in the testimony.
Yes.
It's like you said, the old days, everybody just said, I just want to thank God. Well, why? It's the why, and how did you get there, and how were you broken, and what led you to that, and how is that your story? Because it's that testimony that can have somebody else connect and relate and say, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. This was my experience too, and now I see another way. So I'm with you. I think it's our obligation to speak up in the right time and the right opportunities and the right way to just, to put it out there and not be fearful, because we know where that comes from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And someone can say, oh, well, I don't believe. That's okay. I do. This is what's working for me. And I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to keep telling everyone what's working for me. Right. And I can't not.
Yep. I'm with you. And as a believer, I'm the same, and I won't judge anybody else for what they believe or don't believe.
Right.
You do you, but also respect that I'm going to do me.
Yes. And I had someone who said, I am Jewish. I am a gay Jewish man, and I love you. And I said, well, I am a straight Christian woman, and I love you right back. And thank you for being here. So my goal with my page is I want everyone to just come and laugh and feel comfortable. And it is a place of non-judgment. It's a place of nostalgia. It's a place of laughter. So even if you don't come there loving my Jesus, I hope that you'll kind of maybe ask yourself some questions, like maybe I should dig deeper. What's this that's working for her?
Right. Right. Exactly. What is the secret sauce?
People have an opinion on everything. I could tell you I lost a gazillion pounds from doing this, and you're going to have a doctor who's going to go, well, that's not healthy.
A doctor.
Anybody.
50,000 just regular people out there.
Yeah, Kathy from down the street is going to go, that's really bad. That's really bad for you. So, you've got to just boldly live your life and speak your truth and live in your truth, and just know that there are going to be critics online who are going to say, what, that actually doesn't work. And that's okay. Well, it does for me.
Exactly. And that's it. And I don't owe anybody any reasoning for what I do or don't do.
Yeah. Yep. People will ask me like, oh, Ellen, where do you see yourself in a year? Or, oh, you're about to be doing this. It's so crazy. I don't know, because it's the Lord's journey. I don't know. I love doing stand-up, but the Lord may send me into another direction because he needs me to do something else. And I just have to know that it's all going to work out, and it's going to be more fun if it's God's way than my way.
Yeah. Ooh, look whose hands are off that wheel. That is good stuff right there, Ellen. Okay. So back to, Hey, Jesus, it's me. So part 2, Can you ghost your family in heaven? I don't know. Can you?
I mean, that's the thing is I did a reel one time because we all talk about how fun it's going to be reunited in heaven. But then you're like, well, wait a minute.
Everybody?
Everybody? Like, how reunited? Like, how long do I stay at my grandma's house? Are we going to be, is that going to be a come and stay? Is it a come and go? Do we have a heavenly Uber that just will take us from place to place so we can go see everybody? Because, I have a lot of friends. I want to see my friends from all over. What's that going to look like? But I love the story because I go through some of the most special people growing up in a small Mississippi church that I get to talk about. Who am I going to see? But then I also ask myself the question, am I just rushing to get to the car? Are there any little kids at my church who are one day going to want to see me? Or are they going to see me in heaven and go, oh, that's just the lady who was always rushing to her car to get out of church to beat the traffic? And so it was a reminder to me that I need to slow down, visit, talk to people, make sure I'm as involved in my church as those sweet old ladies were in my church. So that way the kids who are in the 5th and 6th grade right now are going to go, oh, we loved Miss Ellen. She was the sweetest, most fun lady ever. So that was a really fun reminder to me as I was writing it of the type of person, how I want to be seen by my church.
I love that. And well, that's a metaphor for all of us just sort of slowing down
Yeah.
and looking up, right? How much
Yeah.
are we missing out on down here, right? Where we spend, I mean, a fraction of our time compared to eternity, but how much time are we wasting by not being present minded? Isn't
Right.
that what we're asked to be?
And on our, and just we're on our phones and on social media. And I love social media for the career that it's given me, but it has connected yet disconnected us so much.
Yeah.
And I was so sad because I just saw the commercial for Uber Teen. And as someone, my daughter is about to turn 15.
Yeah.
My time is very limited. I love taking her places because that's when we chat.
Yeah, those are the best conversations.
Those are the best conversations when we're driving to the car and she's just telling me about her friends and what's going on with school.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a minute, we're going to let technology rob us of that. We're going to automate that time in the car because it can be exhausting when you've worked all day and you've got 3 kids to get to 3 different places, but that's still your connection time, even though it's crazy.
Sure.
And I'm like, wait a minute, Uber, I don't think we really
I'm not ready
asked
for
this.
you yet.
We don't want this. I don't want that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I held on for as long as I could until my kid got a car, and then all bets were off. But you know what? I remembered that for me as well. So,
Yes. Well, hey, everything is supposed to end. We're not supposed to take them all the time. But I know
Right.
that I have about a year left before she has her own car.
Yeah.
And she's going to
So hold
help.
on.
She's going to help with the errands. And so I don't want to farm that out to Uber in this last year.
Agreed. Let's see. Southern funerals,
Yes.
all because of caramel cake.
Oh, well,
Oh, yes.
I am a big proponent of caramel cake. And I actually,
Caramel or caramel? Caramel.
I say
Southern
caramel.
is caramel.
I say caramel.
Okay.
It's Southern cooked caramel icing. And I actually put about 4 cases from the caramel factory in Batesville, Mississippi in my Skrmetti store. Because I have a store where I sell signed copies of my books. And I thought, well, let me just put some of my fun Southern things in here. So
That I love, right?
yeah, so the caramel factory, I put, I think 4 or 5 cases and I sold out in hours.
Did you really?
I thought I had enough to get me through like a week. And then I sold out. But it's because it's difficult to make or people have never heard of it. But it is cooked caramel icing. It goes on your yellow cake. And every church has 1 or 2 caramel cake ladies. And my grandmother was the caramel cake lady.
Right.
And this is the best story that she taught her sister-in-law how to make the icing. They both put their cakes in the county fair. My great aunt got the blue ribbon and my grandmother got the white. Well, my grandmother goes and asks them, like, I'm so sorry, but excuse me, why did I not get the blue ribbon? Because she always got the blue ribbon.
Sure.
And they said, well, she did 3. The icing was perfect. She did 3 layers instead of 2, and her layers were more even than yours. I call my dad on the phone. He is under the house making sure that everything is level under the house because her cake layers weren't level. And she had shown me how to make the cake, and when she passed away, we had no less than 20 people give us her recipe. It was wrong. Each one was wrong. But the sweetest thing was Miss Bonnie Jones, who's still alive. She had gone to my grandmother's house and she wrote down everything that my grandmother did. And sent us this letter and told us about the visit that they had. And so I realized, I told my mom, I said, you know what? This is a recipe that only makes sense when you're in front. When you're doing it, if you were to write down the recipe, it makes no sense because you've got one pot boiling, one pot doing sugar. I said, Grandma wasn't giving out the wrong recipe to everybody to throw her off their tracks. It just makes sense. And so all my grandmother, she would have given anybody the recipe. She just wanted you to come to her house and spend time with her. She would have shown you. And she sent them home with the cake. So it's such a special story, but it also shows how important it is in our Southern lives that we have a caramel cake lady.
Well, I love that. And, and it also speaks to the importance of food in culture.
Yes.
No matter what culture. And I'm sure you have found that to be very, very true with all the different women that you've met. Food is the gluten that binds everybody.
Well, and I've had so many women who have said, okay, it wasn't caramel cake, but it was this recipe is the one recipe that we can't figure out how she did it. It could be a spaghetti sauce, a lemon pie, a barbecue sauce. I mean, there is something that's so special that you can follow the recipe to a T, but this family member did it. And the way that they did it, you can never recreate it because it was just so special and it was theirs.
Oh, see, I love that. And that's back to tradition again.
Yes.
Which is what we were talking about earlier. And there's always humor and good stories in tradition. Okay, part 3. I'd rather chew glass than talk ugly, but crunch, crunch, crunch. Here we go.
Yes, I can still remember the first time I heard that. My friend Justin said that I was managing a restaurant. He was the waiter. We were doing cash out. And he just said, Ellen, I'd rather chew glass than talk ugly. But crunch, crunch, here we go. And it is, these are the stories of the things that we don't want to talk ugly, but let's just go ahead and get into it. The prayer requests, when people have an unspoken prayer request and it takes every ounce of our bodies not to go look on Facebook to figure out what the prayer request is about. If so-and-so has an unspoken prayer request, are she and her husband still together on Facebook? Is she taking down all those pictures? Is it her grandmother? Is it her mother? And then I start to talk about my short-lived pageant career when I was in Miss Mississippi, which was, we learned that the choreographer for Miss Mississippi was the apple from the Fruit of the Loom commercials.
Quit it.
Yes, and his name is Mallory. And then come to find out, Mallory made the circuit to all the state pageants. Because I did a show in North Carolina, and a former Miss North Carolina, she said, I learned to dance from Mallory too. And she said, I think he was the originator of the bend and snap. She said, I think that the bend and snap came from him, which is the dance from Legally Blonde. They do the bend and snap. And so I was like, okay, I did not realize that Mallory made the rounds in the pageants. So.
Good to know. That is some good insight right there.
Yes.
The Fruit of the Loom apple.
Yes. So the crunch, crunch, here we go is just some good Southern humor, good Southern stories.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got to have them. And you most certainly do. I mean, this is such joyful, lighthearted, fun, funny reading. It is an extension of you, but it's also a kind of a getting to know you at the same time. It really is. It's just so, so lovely. So I'm going to hold it up again.
Yes. Yes. I truly wrote this to be a warm Southern hug.
Yeah, it is.
When I started writing it every morning, when I would start to write, I would say, Lord, you're going to have to send the words. You will have to send the words if you want this book to be written. And I tell people I did not write this book for critics. I wrote this book for my audience. And I was thinking I like to call them, fun Southern women and the men who love them. That's my audience.
That's perfect.
Yes.
And there's a big, big, big group out there, and they certainly love you, Ellen. Talk to us, because I know you love to tour and do live shows. You told me Texas, Houston, some of your biggest audiences. I loved hearing that story. Before we started the podcast, you told me that you were in Houston and you were there for a book signing. So where can people meet you, see you? Do you have an upcoming tour schedule? What's going on?
Yeah, so we are getting dates together for 2025. I know right now I'm going to be in Florida in January, and we are adding more dates. You can go to ellenskrmetti.com. I have a newsletter called the Committee on Committees. And
That's perfect.
yes. And so
Yes.
I keep my dates on my website. So go there, join Committee on Committees, because we do a newsletter when new dates are added. So
Perfect.
come and just have a great time. I feel like every one of these shows should have a covered dish fellowship after.
Oh, I love it.
It's just so
Yes,
fun.
it should.
And women leave with new friends.
Yes.
And they'll be at the meet and greet. We always do a meet and greet ticket. It's a little bit more expensive. But I'm like, okay, did you all come together? No, we just met here and we all
Yes.
just are friends. And so I love that.
I did. You know what? I found the same thing to be true on my podcast tour as well. There is something really wonderful about this community, and that to me is the beauty and the blessing of what we do. We talk sometimes about the negative and the dark side, but the upside is that, and the upside is the power of connectivity and shared interests or shared stories or shared pain, where women can find themselves in another woman and make a beautiful connection. And I love seeing that happen. That's the magic of all of it.
Absolutely. I told a young comedian, and she was nervous about doing content online. And I said, let me tell you, I said, I get heckled online and I get nothing but love on stage. So I have skipped the heckling part. I don't have to worry about that. I get it online, but that's okay. It's worth it to find the women and the men who love them,
Yes.
that want to come to my shows and want to laugh. It's worth it to weed out the people that aren't fun.
Yeah. Well, amen to that. I love your approach. I love it. We're going to link all of your linkables from your website, social, whatnot, so everybody can find you.
I got this dry tick in my throat because I was starting to have a hot flash.
And you turn the fan on.
So I had to turn the fan on, even though it's like 50 degrees outside.
Uh-huh.
Is that not,
Yeah, is that not just living our best life?
so that is what we go through. And then you just zhuzh your hair. And you just keep going.
It's like nothing happened.
What was that you were saying?
And look, and you have like a glistening glow to you.
Yeah. But what are you going to do? Yeah.
You're gonna take that on tour is what you're gonna do. So I was doing this podcast one day.
And I get a hot flash. So I turn on a fan. And by the time it's over, I have this dry tickle in the back of my throat.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure every woman has been in a business meeting
Oh,
or a
absolutely.
prayer meeting. Have you ever
Is
had
she
a coughing fit
always
during prayer
now?
meeting? Also, I don't think people understand. Prayer meeting is just that. You're just praying. There's no context. Like, I talk about that in the book. I'm like, Mama, why are we praying for these people? And she's like, the Lord knows. Well, I want to know. Are they in the hospital? Are they dying? What happened? Are they destitute? Did they lose their house? I need more information. And my mom's like, Ellen, the Lord knows. Quit being nosy. And I was like, well,
Okay.
it would have made that hour more interesting if we would have known while we were praying, instead of just sit here and pray. That was not fun.
Oh, well,
So anyway,
that's okay. I'm sure it benefited whoever you were praying.
whoever. Yes. But anyway,
whoever.
so we are back here. I almost died because
Thank
I was
God.
having a hot flash.
You would have gone viral.
Why didn't I just die? I could have just died.
You missed your moment, Ellen. I told you.
It could have been huge. Okay.
Yes, it could have been.
Oh, okay. So for all the women out there who've ever had a hot flash and turned a fan on, and then the fan air has made your throat dry, and there's not enough water in the world, I am you.
I am you. You now have your poster child.
It's me. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am your leader.
Okay.
I'm your leader, and I'm so sorry. But it's me. I know you thought it was going to be Dominique, but it's me. I'm your leader.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next
This was your moment.
Oh, people come up. They're like, I heard you on Dominique almost die. I heard you.
She tried to kill you.
I'm like, I love her. And she just laughed. You just laughed. You didn't even call 911, Dominique.
I didn't.
My husband walks out holding
I was
Chris.
praying for you, Ellen. I knew you were going to be taken care of.
Y'all were praying.
Here's 911 would have been if I didn't have faith.
Okay. Picture this. I'm going to send you a picture of how my husband holds Cliff.
Okay.
And he is holding Cliff up like he's a trophy or something. You know what I mean? He and Cliff walk out and he's like, are you okay? And then there's this Cliff like looking at me like, you're so stupid.
That's a sight.
So
Ellen, I'm glad you're alive.
I am too. I feel like that was an out of body experience.
Yes, but you're back in.
We're back in. We're back in the room.
Still flourishing. So thank you for
flourishing.
We are.
Yeah. Listen, I just had a hot flash. Almost died, and now I'm going to go get my daughter from the orthodontist.
Well, that is what I call a winning life right there. Hey,
you know, and then
you're going to be on tour next year.
We're going to be on tour. It's all going to be great.
It's all going to be great. Thank you, my dear, for being here. You light me up, and I just love having you on. And I think you're a wonderful human, and I wish you nothing but the best, all the success in the world, and watch those fans and dry coughs. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Love y'all. Love everybody.
Okay. Mwah. Bye. So glad we didn't kill Ellen. That would have been a not good viral moment. So she will be around to be on her tour next year. Again, you can find all of her links below on YouTube if you're watching here. Thank you, by the way. Please click that little red subscribe button. It would mean the world. That way you'll get notified every time there's a podcast on Monday or a YouTube video on Thursday to be a part of this really fun, funny, and wonderful community. And if you have, of course, any ideas for future podcasts, guests that you would like us to bring on, themes, topics, whatnot, we are listening. So we will look below for that. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast for Over 50 and Flourishing, so glad to have you. Please, if you would do this, rate, review, subscribe, and share. It's how we grow. It's how we loop in more amazing women, get more amazing guests, and continue to have a really, really good time as we lift one another up. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.